I love to be touched on and groped, and when I get that feeling, I want sexual healing. Hey guys, welcome to More Than Missionary. Before we start the show, we have a little disclaimer.
We are not licensed psychologists, therapists, life coaches, sex coaches, etc. We are literally two humans who like to talk about sex and share stories and experiences that might be relatable to you or someone you know, so we can all become more knowledgeable in the practices of safe and fun sex.
Enjoy the show.
Welcome back. We are your hosts. I'm Christina.
I'm Ashley.
And this is More Than Missionary. Today we are going to be continuing our love language episodes, I should say. And today we are going to be discussing physical touch, which is one of my favorites. So let's get started.
It's both of our favorites today.
Yes, we love physical touch.
I know, again, like, that's why I was like, I don't really think that, like, physical touch should be so low for me. Just because I freaking love physical touch. I love being touched on. You know, just not in public. Just don't fucking look at me in public. But
don't fucking look at me. Don't look at me.
You know what I just thought of was, you know in Mean Girls when he's about to sing that song, don't look at me.
Oh my god! Damien, is that what his name is?
Okay, so
what is the book? What does your 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman book say?
It says, the most important thing you can do for your mate in a time of crisis is to love him or her. All marriages will experience crisis. Your tender touches will be remembered long after the crisis has passed. Your failure to touch may never be forgotten. Those are the little snippets that I highlighted.
Interesting. I do like that quite a bit, especially if if physical touch is high up on your love language list. If physical touch is important to you, and you're going through a difficult time, and your partner doesn't show physical affection to you, you will remember it.
Yeah.
I am a physical touch person. If I am upset, I need a hug. I need I need a hug. I need to be held. Okay. I grew up in a family where I had two of my both parents were like very physical touch. Like, they were big on physical touch, especially my dad is like a lovey-dovey person. So is my mom. And like, we would all like cuddle on the couch, like, you know what I mean? Like, we would all just be like cuddling up on the couch together. And I think that like kind of what it was saying, where if you're going through a hard time and your partner isn't showing that like physical act of touch to you to show that they're there for you, it really like negatively impacts. It can negatively impact your relationship. Like I said, I am somebody that needs to be held when I am upset. I want to like collapse into somebody's arms, essentially.
I'm kind of the same way too. Like, I'm very much like, I need my space kind of person, but like mentally. I'll mentally need space to be able to think things through, but like, I want to be held during the situation.
Absolutely. Like, there are times too, like, okay, so we've talked a little bit about this before, where because we're both in relationships with men, and men are natural problem solvers. So when you're upset about something, they're like, how can I help to fix it? And like, I'm similar to you, where I'm sometimes mentally, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about what I'm upset about. I just want to, but I do want to be held.
Yeah.
I need that like physical comfort. Like, it feels like a blanket almost.
Well, it's like a safety thing.
At
least for me, it's like a safety thing. Yeah. So I had written this in there as far as notes goes, my annotations, is crisis in physical touch versus crisis in gift of presence. Two very different things. So I think when I think of gift of presence, I think more of my love language, and that's more the quality time versus the physical touch. So maybe not. A part of me feels like sometimes I also need that like emotional connection. Like you need to know what I'm going through. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I feel like with physical touch, if you're leading with physical touch, you don't necessarily need that. You don't need somebody to know what you're going through. You just need the whole thing. You just need the touch.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. The other note that I put in here was caressing and hugging in a time of need versus just having your person's energy around. I'm definitely that person. Sometimes I want us to be in the same area, but don't touch me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm overwhelmed right now, and my brain is just, like, there's too much happening, and I don't want the physical touch, but I also need to not feel abandoned.
Yeah, like you just want them in your space, but you don't want them touching you.
Yeah.
I don't relate to that. I am, like, the only time that I think I can relate to that is, like, in public, because Gabe and I are not PDA people.
Yeah.
I think that is born more out of making other people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember growing up and there was this, like, couple that was in our friend group that was so PDA. It was so uncomfortable for, like, everybody involved. And they would, like, make out in front of people, and it was like, oh, like, it was, like, so awkward, and, like, I'm like, good for them, I'm so happy for them, but, like, everybody else is just, like, third wheeling. So,
yeah, that's weird.
So, yeah, like, so I feel like we're, like, overly conscious because we want to make sure everybody's comfy and chill, and I feel like we do a pretty good job with that. We're like, I don't know, you've been around Gabe and I multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
We never want anybody to feel like a third wheel around us.
I will say, though, so you know my black cat vibe. We've gone over this so many times. And I was at the tattoo convention with my partner this last weekend. Mm-hmm. And I surprised myself with how much, like, physical touch I wanted while we were there. And it wasn't necessarily, like, hugging on each other or anything like that. But I think because it was, especially when it started to get more crowded, like, I just looped my arm through his.
Oh, really?
And I was just like, it was more of a safety thing. Like, I felt safe with him.
Were you anxious with the amount of
people
there? A little bit.
It was I was a little anxious. But I'm used to going to the tattoo convention. I go every year. Mm-hmm. And I know that it gets busy. I know that it gets like that. And I never have felt the need to, like, mind you, I've never gone with a partner. But I've never felt the need to cling onto anybody or be like that with anyone. And especially, like, even just, like, in general, I'm not like that with my partners. Like, I don't feel the need to hold their hands when we go out or do things.
Yeah.
It's just not who I am. And I was like, oh my god, bitch, are you kind of, like, low-key changing a little bit? Like, are you, like...
Are you low-key changing?
Are you, like... Or are you just, like, really into this person? Like, I was like... But I just, like, shocked myself a little bit. I was like, I normally hate, like, so public physical touch, like, so much. But... I don't know. I also, like... I'm going to say something on here that's going to be so shitty, but I just, like, don't give a shit. I don't care. I've never been with a partner that I've been so physically attracted to.
Interesting.
That sounds so shitty.
Well, I know you've, like, shared with me before that you are, like, very, like, physically attracted to your partner.
Yes.
And I get that. Like, I am very physically attracted to my partner. Can you imagine if I was like, I am also physically attracted to your partner? I totally get that. No, I am very physically attracted to my husband. And, like, there have been people that I've dated that I'm like, oh, like, they've got so many lovely, wonderful qualities, but, like, I'm just so, like, I'm not, like, into them physically, where I'm like, I'm just, like... They don't get me going.
No.
And I understand that. I think when you have that, you tend to want to be a lot more physical in public too.
I think there's also
It's
like a
natural.
form of like, and this sounds so superficial, and I know that it sounds so superficial, but like there's also like a pride thing for me too.
Girl, I'm gonna toot horns here. I'm gonna toot your horn, my horn, Gabe's, and your partner. Okay, we are an attractive bunch. You're hot. Your partner's hot. My husband's hot. I think I'm hot. I'm going out in pub. I'm like, yeah, look at us.
I can't
Okay.
wait for the day that we have like a double date.
Oh my
All of us
God.
go out.
It's gonna be great. Okay, but like,
There's
like,
not one
I
ugly person
do-
at the table.
And yes, it is a little superficial to be like, oh, like look at us, we're so conventionally attractive. But like I'm proud of the fact that like I have this partner with me that like matches my energy
Yeah.
and that level of things. And I
Well,
know
also
it's-
you guys both dress very nicely too.
we try, yeah.
Like,
like when I wear my Crocs out.
Yeah, our cracks.
no, but I mean, and Gage is the same way. He dresses very, like he dresses
Like
very
he dresses
nice.
with a purpose. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how Gabe is. Yeah,
And I love that. Like I have this like sense
a
of
well
like,
put together man.
oh, there's nothing more attractive than a well put together. Well, that's like I think that's why we both are obsessed with like James Spader.
Oh
It-
my god,
It's not him. It's not physically him. It's his ambiance,
It's
his
the way
presence,
he carries
it's his,
himself.
yeah, it's everything else about
It's
him.
confidence. Seriously,
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about a confident partner, and I get that. I feel that with my husband all the time. He's a very confident person. So am I.
It was nice that even like in that crowded space, like for the first time, like genuinely, even in the chaos and in the crazy, I felt like I was able to, when my arm was looped around his, like I felt like I could just turn my brain off and just be there.
Okay, wait,
Like-
I have something to say about that, but okay.
But it is like it's a safety thing. Like I
It
can
is.
just be like a la-da-da-da-da,
Okay, have you
like-
seen, that's what I'm trying to. Have you seen the fucking TikToks where it's like when I'm with my husband and it's like shoots to his perspective and he's like, "There's an exit. There's a who's that person?"
Yes!
And then it's like, and then there's me, and I'm just like, la 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 la, like in my head. And I
And
feel that way
when
too.
I'm alone, and I'm sure you feel this way too. I mean, again,
Hyper-aware and alert.
I'm a single girl that lives in Chicago, so of course
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel certain types of ways. Like when
Yeah.
I'm out and about, roaming, you know, walking from my car to work. You know, I think about those things all the time. I'm constantly looking for my next predator. Who could be my next predator? Be
I do that when I go to the grocery store. I'm like, I'll like, look over. I'm like, I have like, you know, like my bags in my cart and or like in my hand, and I'm like getting to my car and I'm like looking around and I'll like put everything in there right away and I'll look around and I'll get in my car and I lock it right away. Like I'm
Yes.
like immediately, like I'm like, I'm not getting taken today. Like, Liam Neeson, you're not gonna have to find me.
Yep, yep.
And no, literally though, like, and it is nice being able to like go out with your person, and who, especially a person who carries that masculine energy,
Mhm.
where you can kind of shut off your brain and just like be in your soft feminine and just like relax.
There's something to be said about like, it's kind of like scary privilege a little bit, or
Yes.
like Gabe, you know, I could say like Gabe, he, you know, he works out, he's, you know, muscular dude, and he, like, upon first glance, like, if you look at him, it's so funny, because, like, I think people look at him and they think he's an asshole, like, oh, that guy looks like he could be an asshole. He's not, like, at all. He's, like, the most soft-spoken,
Yeah, Gabe's
nice
so
individual you'll ever meet in your life. But, like, he kind of, like, physically, though, like, you see him walking, and you're like, oh, like, that, like, that's, like, not a person I want to mess with. Which I really appreciate, because I don't look intimidating at all, even when I'm trying to be intimidating.
Yeah.
So
You don't.
I don't. I have tried making like TikToks where I look intimidating, and I'm like, I look like a child.
Your golden retriever energy
I
is
have a-
showing.
It's hard to hide. I have just accepted the fact that I am just a not intimidating looking individual. I have no aspect of my face is resting bitch in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, I'm 100% resting.
You
bitch.
definitely have resting
And
bitch
I'm
face.
so here
very
for it.
I'm very jealous of your resting bitch face. Like, I'm like, my resting face looks like I have like symbols going on in my brain. Like
Just the monkey.
the monkeys with the symbols. That's not what I mean. Sometimes that's happening, but
I mean, you and I were talking about this earlier, but I get genuinely upset when people like confront me in the wild. And they're just like, "I love your hair," and I'm like, "Don't fucking talk to me.
don't fucking talk
Here's
to
my
me.
here's my card. Don't fucking talk to me." Just, and it's so sweet. I shouldn't complain. I shouldn't complain about getting compliments. It is the nice, and like I love to give compliments to people too, but I think the difference is I have no problem complimenting a stranger, but in private, if that makes sense. Like,
unless you're, what about if you're drunk in a bathroom with a bunch of girls?
but it's still in private. Like,
That's true.
I'll
That's
just
true.
be like, you look really cute, or blah, blah,
Like,
blah.
yeah, I'm always hyping people up in the bathroom.
But
I'm like,
I,
oh,
like,
girl, you look so hot.
Please don't, like, scream across the room that, like, you think that my hair is pretty, or, like, that... Do you know how many times that happened at the convention, dude?
Really?
How many times at the
Oh,
convention
it's
people are like,
uncomfy, yeah, if you're not-
literally yelled from their booth, like, to the aisle to me, to be like, oh my god, you're so pretty, and I'm like, thanks. Like,
thanks!
especially because I don't know how to take a compliment. Like, and I feel like
that.
it puts me in an awkward position because I don't know how to accept the compliment. And then I'm like, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Like, this is so awkward for me. But if somebody were to come up to me and be like privately kind of, just be like, you look really pretty today. Like,
you can accept
I-
that as
I
a
can-
compliment.
yeah.
It's like the extra attention.
It's
that
the
it's
attention.
garnished, it's that it's garnishing.
yeah. It gives me
I-
so much anxiety. I hate all that, like, attention.
I do and I don't like the attention for myself. Like, I like attention. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm a bubbly, loud person. I think that naturally garnishes attention. But I'm the same way when it comes to compliments. Now I can take them a lot easier. I don't mind them now. But when I was a high schooler, I felt like personally I was an ugly duckling growing up, and then I like blossomed after after I got my braces off and my acne cleared up. I blossomed. Before I was just like a walking child with like developed boobs, and it looked really awkward. Anyway, so but like I remember one time somebody complimented. They're like, "Oh, you have really pretty eyes," and like my I like didn't know how to respond to it, and instead of just saying like, "Oh, thanks," I crossed my eyes and went, "Thanks," like I didn't know how to take it. And I was like, "Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, they're great." Like in making a joke out of it because I was expecting there to be like almost like I don't know, when you're bullied growing up.
Oh,
you
yeah.
expect the punchline, so you're like, I'll just make it funny. Like,
Yeah. We make a joke out of ourselves because then they can't do it first.
Yeah, laugh with me, motherfuckers. Good luck laughing at me. I beat you to the punchline.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay, back to physical touch.
Yes.
We're not even high. I would like to point that
Yeah,
out.
I
We
know.
have not had one lick of
Completely
any
sober.
substance.
Just coffee.
Just
or not
coffee.
even just matcha.
Just matcha, which is like a very low form of caffeine.
Maybe that's the issue. Maybe we need more caffeine.
Maybe.
But yeah, physical touch, man. I'm not a huge public physical touch person, but I'm starting to. Maybe that's the one thing that is changing about me. That I don't mind the outward physical touch as much.
I like that. That's good for you.
Is
It's
it?
good for you.
Is it good for me?
I mean, as long as you're not like making out with your partner and like in front of a group of friends,
No.
like I think you're fine. You know.
I promise I'll never get to that point.
I mean, Gabe and I like when our like the most I think we physical touch in public is like we'll hold hands. Like if we're on a date or something, or we're walking somewhere, like you know, we'll hold hands once in a while. Might get like a peck, right, on the lips or on the cheek. Maybe like a hand around the waist. But that's like it for like public display of affection, for physical touch. Privately, like in our own home, I'll be the first to. I smack my husband's ass all the time. Like he'll be doing dishes and I'm like, oh, like he's like really, like, and I know I'm not the only woman that does this.
Sound
like,
effects and all.
yeah, like. Like we'll laugh about it. He's like, "Hey," like you know. But I am very like physical touch. Like I will go up to Gabe and just like hug him. He's actually gotten to a point sometimes where I'll like be hugging him and he's like, "Okay, like I need to do something," and I'm like, "No," like I'm like a spider monkey. Like no, I you do this with me holding you.
Favorite thing is like on the couch or whatever, laying on top of my partner.
Oh yeah, unfortunately we don't really have a good couch for that here. We try.
I love that. Like, and I don't even need their attention when I'm like that. Like, go ahead, play your video game, whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to literally lay on top of you like a fucking sloth.
Like a sloth.
Like a sloth, like just dead, like on top of you. I love it. Or even vice versa, like on top of me, like I like being squished by my partner. Like
yeah. So,
I don't know.
I feel that. I love like I love when Gabe lays on me. Like I'm like if we're like we'll like watch a movie and like sometimes he'll just kind of like lay his head, like he'll put a pillow on my lap and like lay there, and I like will like play with his hair or like like rub his back or his arm. I'll give him I'll like massage his hands too. He's a big fan of that. I almost feel like too part of this is I think because of my ADHD, where I need to like fidget or do something. So like if I'm constantly like moving my hand or doing something, it's almost like okay, like I can focus as well. Cue innuendo for those already thinking that, okay, because you all have dirty ass minds like me and Ashley. But like seriously though, like yeah, like doing something like that on a couch is like that's definitely physical touch. Like fills up my love bucket.
Yeah. I even get like anxious even though it's for the other, like I know that my partner genuinely loves his head to be scratched, but I even get nervous asking to do that because again, like I hate rejection, I hate being shut down, so even though it's not even for me, like I get nervous, like because I'll be like, you want to lay on me and I'll give you head scratchies if you lay on me. Yeah. They always say yes, but then I'm always say yes, I'm always like, what
if they say no?
Yeah, what if they say no? Then I'm gonna look so stupid here. What do I do with my hands?
What am I doing with my hands?
What do I do with them?
I feel that.
The last thing that I had written a note in here for was physical touch isn't always just about the touch, but also about the initiation to touch.
God, that is so important.
So that's why I think that's like why I thought of that, where I was just like, sometimes I get a little nervous about the initiation, but
I think that is if you are physical touch and your partner is not, and that's not like their top, that is a need that needs to be communicated. Like you need to say, hey, I need you to initiate more physical touch wise. That is something like Gabe isn't as big on physical touch as I am. That's something that I've had to communicate to him and say, hey, like I really love when you do these things.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good. It fills up my love bucket. And that I mean, it wasn't always that case. Like I feel like sometimes I used to be annoying with it, like where I'd be constantly like wanting to give him hugs all the time in the most inconvenient, we're like trying to like walk out the door and I'm like, give me a hug. And he's like, Christine, I'm trying to put my shoes on. And I'm like, you're gonna have to just multitask. But like, yeah, like being able to communicate your needs to your partner and saying like, hey, I love that physical touch and I need you to, initiate a little bit more in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think also something that we need to address is that physical touch isn't just sex.
Yeah, it's not just sex. It's actually, I feel like what really fulfills the physical touch love bucket are the non-sexual intimate touches.
Yeah. But I think sex will also mean more to the person.
Yeah.
Whose top love language is physical touch.
I agree. Yeah, there's I will be first. I have a high drive, right? I've got a high drive. A lot of people do, and like to me, like I don't always want to initiate, right?
Yeah.
That same and vice versa, right? He doesn't always want to initiate and things like so. It's a balance, and it's something that again you need to communicate about with your partner and communicate your needs too.
Yeah.
So talking about initiation, especially in a sexual context, is like you gotta tell your partner that you want them to do more with it and talk it through. Don't just say like, hey, I need you to initiate more, end statement. Like there needs to be a conversation about it. Be like, I really love when you do X, Y, and Z to initiate. It like really gets me going, being it kind of what we were saying, we've said in the past episodes and you've said in the past episodes about how you speak to your partner and encouraging them rather than nagging at
or
them.
criticizing.
Or criticizing how they did. Oh, like you never you never initiate. I'm always initiating. Like, nobody wants to hear you say, I mean, yes, yes, that is something that you are feeling inside, but how you communicate that to your partner is really going to determine the outcome of getting what you need. So,
Yeah.
you know.
What's your favorite form of non-sexual physical touch? Because we talked about the boys, which they're both head scratchies and back rubs.
I love showering together in a non-sexual way.
Okay, yeah.
I love that. That is, like, one of my favorite things. Like, I'm like, I just, you know, I like to, like, shower with the person and, like, hug them while I'm showering and, like, being under the water. Like, to me, that is, and it doesn't have to turn sexual.
Yeah.
And doing that is, like, I don't know, it really helps, like, regulate my emotional state sometimes.
Yeah.
So I love that. And another thing that is, like, a non-sexual one too is we have done this for, God, I don't know, 7 years, which I'm sure will bite us in the ass when we're, like, old and our joints hate us. But Gabe and I will crack each other's backs every single night and give each other back massages every day. We have done this almost every day for the last, like, 7 years.
Oh, yeah, your backs are going to hate you.
And we actually were talking about, I was like, what are we going to do when we're, like, 80? And we just have, like, no cartilage in between our joints.
Yeah.
He's like, we'll just, like, draw on each other's backs at that point. But, like, yeah, doing that is one of my favorite forms of physical touch that is not sexual. Same with, like, getting my back drawn on. I love when my partner does. I love when Gabe does. I love when he's just like, or like massaging my head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like to help me fall asleep. Oh my god, fuck out.
I know, head massages are great.
They're the best. So yeah, I would say that is probably my favorite form of physical touch. Trying to think if there's anything else. Just like hugging. I don't know. I like hugs and touchy feely. What about you?
I like my sloth lays.
Yeah,
I just want to lay on you like a sloth.
It's
It's my favorite. I also just, like, I love being, like, cozy and comfy. So, like, I want to be, like, wrapped up in a blanket. I want to
be
a
burrito-fied.
squishy at all times.
Yeah.
I need a squishy. Yeah. I love being around pillows and squishies. So if I can lay on top of you with all my squishies and hold on to squishies while I'm laying on you, I'm happy.
Golden pony boy.
Yo, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You can ask me for just about anything, and I will be like, anything you want, honey.
Yes. Yes, I will do that.
Yes. Yes. What would you do for initiating more physical touch? If the conversation already had been had, and say, like, somebody like me is shy about initiating that physical touch.
So if you've already had the conversation with your partner, and, you know, if they've expressed to you that they're like, I really love when you initiate more. Are you talking about sexually or not?
Just in general.
Just in general. I would say, yeah, like, cuddling, right? You guys are watching TV together, kind of what you've said that you were doing, where you will ask if, you know, hey, you want me to scratch your head or rub your back? You know, they're more than likely going to say yes, right? Doing that is nice for a person that loves physical touch. Kind of what I was saying earlier about, like, honestly, just like showering together. I love doing that. I recommend that for all couples. I don't care if your top is physical touch or not. It is a lovely, intimate thing to do with your partner.
It is very therapeutic.
It's very therapeutic. I love that. Random hugs for somebody that's physical touch, just hugging them to hug them. There's no motive behind it. You're not doing it for any reason. Going up behind them and just giving them a hug oh my god, I just love that. I love that. I love kissing, so yeah, kisses, right? That doesn't always have to turn into sex, right? But
Oh, I'm such a weirdo. I'm like a teenager. I would
like
like there are
making out.
times where I would rather just like make out on the couch and actually have any form of real sex.
yeah, like I like just making out. Like
Yeah.
I think that's a great physical touch that doesn't have to turn into like full blown like sexuality. Massages. I'm big on massages. I
Yeah.
love like getting a back rub or shoulder rub.
Cracks neck.
Cracks neck. That always feels very nice. Yeah, those would be my recommendations.
Okay. Alright.
So, but yeah, that being said, like I said, if you guys have any feedback or think that we've missed anything, please. You can either contact us on our social media pages at More Than Missionary, or you can contact us through our email at morethanmissionary69@gmail.com. That's morethanmissionary69@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for joining us on today's episode. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Christina.
I'm Ashley.
And this is More Than Missionary, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Thanks for listening.